Herbalists all have their favorite recipes, and you can find many variations in the many herb books and on the internet. The next lesson will be my favorite recipe for elderberry syrup. There are many different ways to enjoy elderberry. Other lessons will include elderberry tinctures, elderberry oxymel, elderberry gummies, and elderberry jello. And for those so inclined, I won't have a lesson on elderberry wine, but you can make elderberry wine. Okay, let's get our equipment together and start making some elderberry syrup. Okay, welcome to making elderberry syrup. Now the equipment you need is probably right in your kitchen. Of course you need a heat source. You're going to need a small saucepan with a lid. You're going to need stirring spoons or spatulas and of course measuring spoons. And you're going to need a strainer with a funnel and a container to strain it into. Now I like these reusable coffee filters. Now you can use cheesecloth, muslin, a jelly bag, whatever you happen to have. Now you're going to need a bottle or canning jar to store your syrup in. And you're going to need to mark it. I like to use the painter's tape with the marker, but you can use whatever label you want. And you're going to put the name of your product, what's in it, and the date that you made it. Now, optional, you don't have to have it. You can get a coffee grinder or spice grinder to break your berries into even smaller pieces so they are more extracted or absorbed by the water that you are cooking them in. Okay, now we're ready to get our ingredients together. Okay, now for our ingredients. Of course we need our dried elderberries. We have a half a cup of it. And then we're going to have cloves. Now this is the spice cloves, like you stick in a ham. It's not cloves of garlic. We're going to need either 2 cinnamon sticks, or you can use a teaspoon of powdered cinnamon, or I have some cinnamon that is chopped. I'm going to use a teaspoon of that. Now we need 2 cups of water. Now I prefer distilled water. Distilled water is considered an empty water so that it will extract more of the properties of the herbs. Now we're going to need 1 to 2 cups of honey. Now optional that we can add is we can add 12 star anise, or we can add anise seed. Now these are 2 different spices or herbs, and they each have different properties. Now you can add one or the other, or you can add both. We have a teaspoon of powdered ginger, and we're going to have a tablespoon of lemon juice. Now according to a 2011 article in Alternative Medicine Studies, star anise is one of the primary sources used in Tamiflu in its antiviral formula. Now, anise seed is used both as a cough suppressant and as an expectorant. Now, we're going to combine the elderberries and all the other spices into this saucepan. Add our 2 cups of water. We're going to give it a little stir, and then we're going to turn it on. Bring it to a boil. We're going to let it simmer 20 to 30 minutes or until it has reduced by half. We're going to let it cool 5 to 10 minutes before handling it. Okay, now my berries have simmered for about 30 minutes. I've let it cool for about 10-15 minutes. And optional, you can kind of take something and kind of mash the berries if you want to. Now I'm ready to strain them. And so I'm using this reusable coffee filter. You could use like a jelly bag or cheesecloth, but I like these reusable coffee filters, but you do have to make sure that whatever you're putting in is not boiling hot, because it will melt it. Okay, I've poured my elderberries in here, and I'm just kind of mashing them to get as much juice out of it as I can. Now you could, let this set for 30 minutes or an hour, and you would probably get a little more juice out of it. Okay, now I'm looking at it. I've got about 1 cup. Okay, now I'm going to add my tablespoon of lemon juice. If you didn't have lemon juice, you could use lime juice. This is adjusted the pH, so it'll have a longer shelf life. And even in a pinch, you could probably use a little apple cider vinegar. Now I know I've got about a cup of juice. I'm going to add probably about 2/3 cup of honey. I don't want to make this way too sweet. Now, the more honey you put in it, the longer shelf life it would have. Okay, I'm going to. Another reason this needs to still be warm so your honey will melt in there. And I'm going to give it a little taste and see how it tastes. See if that's enough honey for my liking. That tastes really, really good. Okay, so now I'm ready to bottle it up. I'm just going to pour it into a bottle here. Now, if you wait it too long to mix this up, if you let it set too long, the honey is not going to dissolve really well. Now, I've got my bottle of elderberry syrup. Now, it does, it's much easier to pour a spoonful of elderberry syrup than what it is to try to pour it out of a jar. Now, if you don't have a dark colored bottle, if you had an empty vinegar bottle, that would work. Now, this is going to last 1 to 2 months in your refrigerator. Now, you could allow headroom and you could pour it into some smaller jars or just leave it in the bottle, because you probably don't need it right when you made it, and put it in the freezer for a longer shelf life. Now, for an even longer shelf life, you could add an equal amount of honey, the elderberry tea, and either an echinacea tincture, an elderberry alcohol tincture, or even straight vodka or brandy. And that would give it a much longer shelf life. Now, if you wanted a elderberry syrup that was totally alcohol free and you wanted to have a longer shelf life, you could use, instead of an alcohol elderberry tincture or echinacea tincture, you could use an elderberry or echinacea glycerite. Now, it's not going to last as long as the alcohol would, but that would give you a longer shelf life. Okay, herbalists, get out and make some elderberry syrup for you and your family. Now, for adults, you're going to take 1 teaspoon to a tablespoon every hour or so if you're trying to prevent the flu or the cold. If you already get it, you would take it, every hour or so to relieve the symptoms. At the minimum, you'd want a tablespoon 4 times a day. Now, for children, you're going to want half to 1 teaspoon every hour or so, and at a minimum, a teaspoon 4 times a day. Now, you can also save this syrup and make some gummies, which I will show in our next lesson. Okay, thank you.